answering questions about the detox, the talk we did last weekend, right?
For the Daniel Plan,
Right.
which is a book program that Mark Hyman, Rick Warren, and I wrote. Tana was one of the coaches
Right.
on that, and it goes perfectly with the philosophy of what we have been teaching
So we're
for a
not
long
schizophrenic.
time.
We're looking at 3 different cameras, just so you know. Okay, so we are
Is that the definition
trying to
of
include.
not being schizophrenic?
Right, we're trying to include all of you. We're being inclusive.
So we're going to answer questions. We got a lot of them, and actually one of my favorite ones is I hate cooking. Any tips for the non-cooker?
You're going to give me away, aren't you? He's going to throw me under the bus right now.
When I met her, she couldn't cook. In fact, I prayed
Yes.
fervently that she wouldn't cook
It's
because it was like a bomb would go off in the kitchen.
So I did not learn how to cook until actually, when we got together, and Daniel says I went from disaster to master. So, and there's a reason for that. It was because here's the secret, even though I've written 8 cookbooks, I don't love to cook, okay, but I love to serve my family. So I think part of this secret is that you focus on what's important to you. If it's cooking, some people love to cook, but if you don't love cooking, focus on the reason you're doing it. I did it because I wanted to be healthy and I couldn't go out at the time to just all these great, healthy restaurants, and there's still not that many of them, but also because I wanted to serve my family. I didn't want my daughter growing up in the same sort of food chaos that I grew up in, and so I learned how to do it. And one of my biggest tips, the thing I would give to you, is find 10 things that you love that are super easy. So like the chicken wings, that I make for my family, super easy recipe. I know I can do it in 15 minutes, and the preparation is just incredibly simple. But I have like 10 or 15 recipes that my family loves that I know are easy. And from there, you'll start to branch out.
I am new to the Daniel Plan. I read the book and watched the videos. Where is the best place to start? What would you say?
So I think that this might be different for everybody, because I think that, like you talk about a lot, is tiny habits. And I think that probably the thing that's easiest for you to master might be the thing to do. So if drinking water sounds easy to you, start with drinking water. If cleaning out your pantry, we'd probably recommend that for all of you. But that's, master one thing. Clean out your pantry. Fill your pantry with good things. Drink water. Take small habits, though, and start to expand them. And whatever one feels the easiest to master, that's where I would start. What would you say?
So the Daniel Plan is based on 5 pillars. Faith. Why do you care? So ask yourself and answer that question now. I never want to be a burden to my family. I want to live with great energy. I'm completely vain and want to be in the same size pants I was in when I was 18. What's your motivation? Why do you care? Food, is this good for me or bad for me? I mean, it's really about a relationship with food, but just start asking yourself this question: will this serve my health or will this hurt my health? Fitness, brand new study, I told you about this. If you're 80 years old and you walk at a 3-mile-an-hour pace, you have a 90% chance to live until you're 90. But if you only can walk at a 1-mile-an-hour pace, you have a 90% chance you will not live until you're 90. So start walking faster. I always tell everybody, walk like you're late. So faith, food, fitness, focus. Stop believing every stupid thought you have. Whenever you're sad, mad, nervous, or out of control, start journaling. Just start writing down what you're thinking. And friends. People get better together, they get sick together. The thing I say over and over again that I just believe, the fastest way to get healthy is to find the healthiest people you can stand, and then spend as much time around him or her as possible. So get the Daniel Plan, do it with a friend. If you could buy a copy for yourself and buy one for someone else, and you do it as a group, you just get better faster. So just pick something really simple from each of those 5 pillars and go, I'm doing that today.
Yeah, so I like the idea of picking something really simple you can do, master it, and then move on. I like that. So let's see. I see the Daniel Plan talks a lot about detox. Can you please share some tips? Refer to watching, okay, let's see. So the first thing I want to do with the detox is explain what detox means, because a lot of people think that we're going to drink some solution. Detox means this magical thing that happens and we're going to like eliminate all of the bad things out of your body and by some, some magical thing we do. Really what detox means, at least for us, is you're going to get rid of the things that have been hurting you and start adding the things that have been helping you. We do not want you on a starvation program. We don't want you doing an all juice fast. We don't want you feeling miserable or deprived. So you can all breathe a sigh of relief now. So really what it means is that we just want you eating super clean and getting rid of the things that have been hurting you. And so that's really what we want you to focus on. So an example would be sugar. We want you to start with getting, we want you to start with 2 weeks of, because anyone can do that, or 10 days. 10 days, anyone can do 10 days. Get rid of sugar, caffeine, anything that contains gluten, so especially wheat, dairy, and what am I missing? Processed foods.
Corn, soy.
And processed foods.
And people are going, but there's nothing left to eat.
Oh, there's so much.
We promise you thousands of things, and you want to think about food. What's your relationship? Are you going to eat something that serves you or something that hurts you?
And be thinking about adding lots of fat and healthy protein. So not trans fats or processed fats, but nuts, avocado seeds, and a little healthy protein throughout the day will keep you very satisfied. So go to the Daniel Plan's website, the Daniel Plan cookbook. It's loaded with recipes. Their chefs are amazing. They're really going to help you get this down and not feel deprived. It's about abundance. It's not about deprivation.
So the next question is, life is so busy with my family, I really struggle prepping meals for the week. And because of this, we typically go to fast food restaurants, or I whip up something quick that probably isn't the healthiest. What do you suggest? I suggest making this a priority. And if you're going to go pick up stuff, because we pick up stuff, it's find the restaurants you like that like you back. So focus on organic vegetables and fruit, meats, and you go, oh, but that's expensive. It's like, no, being sick is expensive. You really want to get your mindset right. A great website to go to is the Environmental Working Group, because they'll tell you which are the vegetables you really need organic and which are the ones are okay to do non-organic.
So I really like that. And one thing I tell myself in order to reframe this, because it really is all about mindset. If you really want to do something, you will find a way. And if you don't, you will find an excuse. That's just been our experience, okay? So what I really want you to focus on here is because we are really busy, and I know how hard it can be when you're that busy. We traveled all the month of December, part of January, and it was exhausting. And so when I'm that tired, that's especially when I tell myself I am too busy not to make good decisions about my health. I'm too busy not to eat healthy, not to exercise, not to get my sleep. I have to be especially protective of myself and my family. So I'm even more vigilant during those times. And so come up with some simple solutions. I pay my daughter. Yes, bribery is a good thing at times. Okay, so it becomes part of her chores to help chop up veggies, or have an assistant. My assistant who normally helps at work, guess what? I have to have a crossover, and she'll help me with things around the house and chopping up veggies and going to the grocery store and making sure I have healthy snacks. If you want to find a way.
Now people are saying, I don't have an assistant.
Right.
I'm not like Tana Amen. I can't do that. So before you were Tana Amen, what would you do?
So that's a great question, because now my life is different now. So that's my challenge, is time now. And there's been a time, believe me, lots of times when it was financial. And so one thing you can do that I have actually know of people doing very successfully, share the chores with another mom or another wife or someone or another person in your neighborhood. One person goes to the grocery store, one person is prepping. It is not harder to make make a double batch of, say, turkey chili or soup or something like that, as it is to make one. And it's not.
So, and even before you had help, if you really wanted to do something, you found the time.
I find a way. Yes, it's just you just have to make it a priority.
What we're just asking you to do is make your health a priority. because your body is the temple of the Holy Spirit that was given to you by God, that was bought for you at a price. So if you're not taking care of this, it means you're being disrespectful to the most important gift God gave you, or one of the most important gifts God gave you.
So one last little tip. So here's an example of what that looks like. So we do a lot of meetings, right? A lot of interviews. I do my interviews walking around. Okay, so I'm moving. I don't like sitting all day. And that is for me, when I'm really busy, that's one of the things that really gets to us and gets me down. I move while I am interviewing, while I am on meetings, so moving around.
So this next question is really good. What do you recommend to help me maintain my motivation? I'm good for a week, and then motivation goes out the window. So what do you think?
I would say that this is where knowing your why and having it firmly planted in your head and not making it about something temporary.
Put it up where you can see it every day. In the Daniel Plan book, I actually have an exercise we call the one-page miracle. On one piece of paper, write down what you want, and then ask yourself every day, does my behavior get me what I want?
That's what I was going to say, and it's brilliant. It's what you really need to do. When I was training for my black belt test.
Did you say that was brilliant?
Brilliant. You're brilliant. I love you. So
could we say it one more time?
You are brilliant,
Thank
my
you.
love. So when I was training for my black belt test, that was 6 years of hard work, and there were times where I'm like, okay, I'm just done. I'm tired. It's hard. This is hard. I'm tired of getting bruises and whatever. But what I did was keep stop looking at me like that. So he thinks I'm crazy. So I kept these signs and motivational quotes and things like that around the room where I train. And that really helps me. I kept pictures of, amazing people that inspire me and the end result. And I kept what my goal was at the end firmly planted so that I didn't lose sight of it just because I was tired.
So motivation and why go hand in hand. You have to know your why, and it has to be so important. You just stick with it. Like I wanted to go to medical school. It was a big endeavor,
right.
But I wanted to do that, so everything else became around that goal. So you just want to know why you want to be healthy. I find I'm my own worst enemy. How can I change this about myself? Well, it's true for everybody who's not healthy, right? It's your own worst enemy because you're not focused on being well. So Tana and I wrote a book called The Brain Warrior's Way because it's a war. If you're not armed, prepared, and aware, then, our society is not set up for your health. Our society is set up for your illness.
So one thing I'd probably say about that, because I think we all have at some time in our lives done this sabotage thing. Most of us have done like a self-sabotage thing at some point in our lives. And if you look at why you do that and you really figure it out, what I like to do is have people think about the times, because we probably, most likely, at some point in your lives, you've also really succeeded. You've done something really well. So even if it was, when you were in 7th grade and you made the cheerleading team or the basketball team or whatever it was, think about that time, what you did, what went into that, and really break it down step by step. Did you go to sleep earlier? Did you practice? Were you just really focused on it and really serious about it? Break it down step by step. Chances are there's a formula there. And if you apply that same formula and you look at what you're doing now that is sabotaging you, I bet you can see that there's a big gap in what you're doing now and what you did then to be very successful.
So I'm going to bunch these two questions. How do I overcome emotional eating? I find that food is the first place to go when I'm sad, stressed, or bored. I'm going to combine that with what do you recommend to help with cravings and sugar? I want sugar all day long. And ultimately, sugar and foods that quickly turn to sugar, bread, pasta, potatoes, rice, sugar, cause an insulin response in your body. So what that means, your body sees sugar, your pancreas produces a lot of insulin in that way to drive the sugar into your cells. Well, one of the other things it also does is it works on an amino acid called tryptophan and drives tryptophan into your brain. Well, why do you care about that? Tryptophan is the amino acid building block for serotonin. It makes you happy. So yes, brownies, cupcakes, Rocky Road ice cream, they all make you happy, short term. They give you inflammation, diabetes, heart disease, cancer, depression, and Alzheimer's disease, long term. So you want to go, short-term benefit, long-term problem. There are other ways to increase serotonin. Exercise is one. I think you actually use exercise as an antidepressant.
Yes.
So when you're having a craving, go for a walk. And then there's supplements like 5-HTP and saffron that can help naturally boost serotonin in the brain.
I want to touch on something too. That's absolutely true. And here's the really, really simple thing you can do: stop eating sugar. So when you eat sugar and simple carbs, you crave some sugar and simple carbs. When you stop, it's hard for a couple days, and then if you eat some fat and healthy protein like we talked about in the beginning, those cravings will start to go away within a few days. They'll start to subside. But I'm getting dozens of messages now that the holidays are over, about people who were warriors and then got off track because of the holidays, and now they're really struggling to get back on. That's exactly what happens, because as soon as you start eating those foods, they're addictive. And the more you eat sugar and simple carbs, the more you crave them. So the only way to get off of them is to get off of them. So use the same solution.
And to see them as a weapon of mass destruction.
So go back to step one, the thing you did in the beginning, and start over.
Eating well and buying all these organic foods you recommend is expensive. I go to grocery stores and compare the price of organic fruit and vegetables to the regular ones, and I just can't do it. Is there a way to make eating well more affordable? So again, environmentalworkinggroup.com, it'll tell you which foods that are okay, not organic, and which foods you should buy them organic or you just shouldn't eat them. So for example, blueberries. I've been talking about blueberries forever. We call them brainberries around here, but they hold more pesticides than almost any other fruit. And you just want to ask yourself, when it comes to expense, do I want to pay now or do I want to pay later? Because all the pesticides in your body promote illness. And yes, some things are more expensive, but not nearly as expensive as you could attest to as getting cancer.
And I want to also add to that, when the studies were done at the Harvard Public School of Health, they actually found that eating healthy turned out to be $1.50 per day per person. Now, if you have 6 kids, yes, you have to learn how to budget that and be a little more thoughtful. But one of the things people weren't taking into account is that when you truly are doing it, if you're actually being honest and doing this, in a really healthy way, you're cutting out things like expensive coffee drinks and treats and snacks at the movies, which are just treating you to illness, by the way. You're cutting out a lot of the things that you were doing, so people weren't taking into account the fact that they're saving money on fast food and things like that because they are now doing things in a more wholesome way. So it's about $1.50 per day per person.
We eat out a lot and go to many social functions. What are some of the things I can do to stay on my healthy eating plan? In your purse, put a little bottle of Sweet Leaf.
I've got stevia and like a bar always with me.
So we carry food with us
nuts.
that's healthy. But anyways, Sweet Leaf makes like 10 different flavors. I like chocolate. And you'll always have it in your purse because you love me. So I'll get sparkling water and a lime. Nobody will harass me about that. I'll put a little bit in because I like something a little bit sweet, and I'm like perfectly happy. And if it's an event where I will eat ahead of time,
that's what I was going to say.
That way I will not be tempted to make a mistake.
And so what we will often do is eat ahead of time and then pick at the salad. And just eat a little bit of this or that. If they have chicken, order it without the sauce. They're usually willing to accommodate you a little bit.
So I like this one. Which brand of permanent hair color do you recommend? Is the media right to say we should stay away from parabens and PPDs? I'm not ready to go gray
Me
yet.
either. Okay, so this is a hard one.
So there is a couple of apps. My favorite one is called Think Dirty. But you can actually, download it, it's free, or the Environmental Working Group has an app called Healthy Living, another one called Skin Deep.
Yeah.
And they actually let you scan the products. And when I first did this in my bathroom, I literally threw out 70% of the products in my bathroom. Parabens and phthalates and PEGs are endocrine disruptors. So, I'm putting all this stuff on my body to be sexy for my beautiful wife, and they're completely
Right.
dropping my testosterone, so I'm not going to feel like being sexy. You don't want to do that. You don't want to put anything in your body that has pesticides in it, and you don't want to put anything on your body with poison, unless, of course, you don't like yourself. And if you don't like yourself, you know, that's a psychiatric issue we should talk about.
So as far as the hair color goes, that's a hard one. So what I have done, yes, I'm not going gray yet. I'm not going to do it.
I would love
So
you.
I know he keeps telling me go gray. It's not going to happen.
I would love you.
I know you would, and I love you for that, but it's not going to happen. You won't have to worry about it. So that is the one thing I'm not ready to do, and I'm hoping that someone comes up with a really healthy hair color. They do make hair color, and I can't remember. I want to say it's Schwarzkopf. I'm not 100% sure. There is a brand that makes it without ammonia and lead, but I do know it just has other chemicals in it. Probably a little better than most. But to make up for that, what I do now is I try to be more careful with all the stuff I use on a day-to-day basis. Does that make sense? So I just try to not daily assault my body with all of the chemicals around the house.
All right, so I think we only have time for one more question. I like this last question. How would you recommend some of the BrainMD health products with the Daniel plan to help maximize potential? So I create supplements and have for a long time. They're under our BrainMD health line. And I think everybody should be taking a great multiple vitamin. We make one called Neurovite Plus. An awesome omega-3 fatty acid supplement. We make omega-3 power. And these are different than what you can buy in the store because they're concentrated, highly purified. Each batch is filtered for 256 toxins. And then I think you should check your vitamin D level and optimize it. And then we have products if you tend to be a worrier and over-focused, if your mood's not good, if you feel too anxious, you can't focus, or you have memory issues. So I think supplements help you mind the gap between, you know, that perfect diet and what most people do.
I would add to that one last thing, and that is that we make an awesome protein powder because a lot of the recipes you will see are things like smoothies and stuff like that. So we make a plant-based protein powder that includes all the amino acids if you are branched-chain amino acids if you're a vegan. It's got fiber in it, it's got no sugar, so it's really clean, tastes really good, chocolate and vanilla. So I think that that's another product that goes really nicely with the Daniel plan. So I'm biased because I helped create it. So I really like it, and because we use it in so many recipes. So that's one thing. I just want to touch really quickly before we end on that question because it's just been stuck in my head about the person who doesn't self-sabotage. Chances are you have learned you've learned a series of habits that are sabotaging you, and you can learn tiny habits that will help you get back on track. It's about those daily habits. That's why we call it training, the daily training of a warrior. So you just have to start that training and start with small habits and build on them, but it's about daily training. You can't show up for the fight. You can't show up on fight day and expect to win if you're not training every day. So just every day, start those small things that are gonna help build you up and get back on track.
So one habit that I just really love, actually it's on the top of my to-do list, it's every morning I start with today is going to be a great day, because then my brain will find why today is going to be a great day. I also start with what I'm going to do today. Is it good for my brain or bad for my brain? So you, in the Daniel plan, there, I mean, literally hundreds of daily habits that you can begin to put in your life. Just do one thing at a time.
One thing at a time.
And when you make a mistake, learn from it.
Just get back up. You fell down, get back up. You only fail if you stay down.
So we are praying for your success. We are thrilled to be on this journey with you. You can tune in. The Daniel Plan has so many different resources. Tana and I have 2 new books called The Brain Warrior's Way, The Brain Warrior's Way cookbook. It's all Daniel Plan friendly. We're just grateful you're part of our communities.
Thank you so much.